Greetings, fellow Travelpreneurs, and welcome to another episode of the Travelpreneur Club, where I interview inspiring Travelpreneurs from around the world and share with you their story of starting, launching, and growing their own location-independent business. Now let's get started. Today I feel honored to have Cassandra Gaisford with us. Cassandra is the founder of Work-Life Solutions and a #1 Amazon best-selling self-help author, romance and historical novelist, creativity coach, public speaker, and entrepreneur. Cassandra has a desire for passion. She believes in the power of love and creativity to transform people's lives, helping them feel inspired, courageous, and successful. On her site, CassandraGaisford.com, she helps increase her audience's happiness and success with products and resources designed to inspire. Cassandra, welcome to the Travelpreneur Club, my friend.
Thank you so much, Drew. I'm so glad I've made it.
Absolutely. So a little backstory. Cassandra and I had an interview not too long ago, kind of when I first started off on my journey as a travelpreneur. And unfortunately, the audio and video did not quite work out. So here we are again for round 2.
And it is really exciting because at that time you hadn't quit your job. Mm-hmm. So it is just a shout out to how amazing it is that you had the courage to follow your passion and your convictions.
Definitely. I definitely have a different outlook and perspective on since our first conversation a little over 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So, I kind of gave a brief intro of who you are and kind of what you do, but I know there's a lot more to you and to your story. So just give us a brief overview of any details I may have missed.
Well, maybe a good place to start is I often get asked, well, what if you've got a whole lot of passions? It's how do you pick one passion? And I guess I've got many, as you've read, I've got many hats, and I think a lot of people out there do. And a job doesn't have to be just one thing, but my path was definitely seems to be centered around doing anything that I'm passionate about. And that really came out through my experience working in the corporate sector and working with bullies, people that threatened to smash my head in, people that tried to control me, that I've seen other people be controlled by others, working with people who are depressed, suicidal because of their work environment. And I guess that you talk about self-help books. I read a lot of self-empowerment books, and I help people to break free of tyranny, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of it. We'll probably talk a bit more about that, but absolutely. I think there's a real self-esteem deficit in workplaces, and that's probably what keeps a lot of people trapped.
Most definitely. So I'm sure you already have an idea of what a travelpreneur is, but I'd like to give you our definition. So a travelpreneur is a traveling entrepreneur that believes in building location-independent businesses that allow them complete control and freedom over their lifestyle. So Cassandra, what do you do that makes you part of the Travelpreneur Club?
Well, it's I love that term, and I think you've generated that yourself, or even if you haven't, it's just a fantastic phrase for the fact. I listened to an Eagles song once, and it said, "I dream I'm on vacation is the perfect career for me." And I loved that, and I thought, how can I feel like I'm on vacation while still working? And so for me, I can work anywhere in the world as an author, as a coach now. Technology is fantastic, so I can Skype clients from Florence, or I can be in Paris, or a little. Here I am. I live in the Bay of Islands, New Zealand. Google it, you guys in the States. It's the most beautiful place one of the most beautiful places. I overlook the sea. I feel like I'm on vacation, and I'm running a successful business. And my partner as well, I encouraged him, and we'll talk a little bit more about that for those people who think they're stuck in jobs where you have to have bricks and mortar. My partner's a mortgage broker, and he's probably one of the first in New Zealand that's actually location independent by just operating via Skype and email. Nobody thought that was possible. And yeah, so I guess that's what makes me a travel location independent entrepreneur. It's a fantastic way to be, isn't it?
It definitely is. It's remarkable what we can do with this age of technology that we live in, and you can literally do anything from anywhere in the world now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is incredible, and we'll get into this a little bit later. What's stopping a lot of people is kind of just not not just challenging their perception of what is possible. Is it possible? I know a client who's a naturopath, and everyone thinks you have to go physically to see a naturopath. You have to be face to face in the same room, and they hand you little herbs and things. And she's running her business from Melbourne over the internet. So I think it's time for everyone to really challenge what's possible.
Absolutely. So, you have quite an interesting story. I want to kind of get back to your beginning. Oh, most definitely. We'll get into it more here. So, I want to get back to your roots, kind of your beginning of, what made you take the leap into working for yourself? A lot of people are very comfortable in corporate America or corporate New Zealand. They have very comfortable lives. They earn a nice salary. They make the morning commute every day. They have a nice house, and they're very comfortable. So, what made you to take the leap into working for yourself?
There were a couple of things. I guess it was just a growing dissatisfaction with that life. It's the comfort rut. Reading Robert Kiyosaki's book Retire Rich, Retire Young was a mindset change to the fact that, I was just a salary slave. I was never going to have any freedom or leverage. That I was a single parent. And when anyone who's parented, whether you have a partner or not, it's really challenging. They have so many school holidays. I never had that many when I was young. they're always on holiday, and I couldn't. It was finding it harder and harder. And when Hannah was sick, and I didn't have the freedom of hours, and then I also did the math. And I worked out what my hourly rate was when I had to be there 9 to 5, or they always wanted more from you. And I worked out I could work less hours and earn more working for myself. And I just started to, and I got sick of being controlled, and I had, there was a bit of backstabbing. Sometimes someone once said you walk the path of envy, but I tended to get people that were just, in New Zealand we call it the tall poppy syndrome, where anyone that stands out, people try to level everyone to be like everybody else, and you get a lot of people that are quite backstabbing. And I don't know, if the final straw probably came when my friends who were older than I was, they were in their 50s and they were going to Italy, and I really wanted to go with them. So I asked for some leave, and my boss said, no, we need you here. You're needed. And I just thought, I'm going. So I quit. But in saying that, I had done a bit of preparation. I don't advocate to anyone to ever just quit unless you've got bucket loads of money or the courage of a lion, and you're willing to clean toilets if you have to make a buck. I think it does pay to be planful. So I had started writing for the Dominion Post, which is a big national newspaper here, and I started to get a lot of people contacting me for work, to work with them, to coach them. I was the manager of a career counselling business at the time for an EAP provider. You probably have those there, don't you? Employee assistance programs.
Yeah, something similar.
Yeah. And so, I guess because I had started, and I asked my boss, I started to knock down to a 4-hour week. And I was quite clear that people were contacting me for private coaching, and was that okay? So I didn't do anything that wasn't above board. But gradually, as I started to see my income, because I had that fear, I had a mortgage. I was the only one paying the mortgage with a young child. So I had the fear that everyone has, that, my God, what say I fail, and what say, everything, I lose everything. But that fear doesn't have to paralyze you. It should kind of make you want to prove that you won't fail.
Absolutely.
And you power up,
So it sounds like you've always kind of been an entrepreneur at heart, even though you might have been working for someone else. What was like your first, taste in entrepreneurship? Like your first thing you remember making money by working for yourself? Do you still remember that first experience?
Yeah, I guess it's funny because a lot of my family, well, not all of them, my dad and my mum, they were quite entrepreneurial, but I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. I guess I was seen in my own mind, and I guess maybe I am. I am more risk adverse than, say, my brother was really always peddling. I thought you had to peddle stuff. He's always trading and looking for how he could make a buck off selling something. And the minute I decided to go out on, to start consulting, I suppose, coaching, then when somebody offered to pay me, it was kind of, my God, it wasn't just coming through the salary check. It was something I generated through my own effort. Yeah, I do remember that. And I distinctly remember charging very little. I think it was like $20 an hour. It was nothing, And then I heard about these people that were charging, $250 an hour and more. And I looked at I've got a bachelor in business. I've got a counselling degree. I'm pretty qualified. And I thought, hell, I can do better than them. Mm-hmm. So I put my rate up.
And people still paid you that amount, correct? I mean,
people still paid me. Maybe less people paid me. But again, going back to my mantra, I want to work less and achieve more. And that's not just financially, but that's my mantra. I want to work less, live more. I think you agree. I think that's your mantra, isn't it? You want to live more.
Absolutely. Because I think the most important commodity that we have is time. So once we spend that time, we can't get it back. There'll always be more money. So if you want to make a ton of money and don't care about your time, you can do that. But I think the more viable way is to value your time more than money.
Yeah, and I remember you saying valuing your life and having experiences. I remember you distinctly saying that you wanted your life. You wanted to look back on your life and think about your experiences. Money doesn't give you money. Obviously, can fund some of your experiences, but it's not everything.
Absolutely. So a lot of people have this scarcity mindset. A lot of people are scared to travel long term or to take the leap and to work for themselves. So what do you believe is the greatest factor holding people back from taking control of their lives, and making the necessary change to be happy?
I from my experience and having helped, many, many people, the common thing is fear. And when we look at fear, it's you might have heard the acronym when you look at the letters: fear, fantasized experiences appearing real. Mm-hmm. So they kind of catastrophize what could happen if they went out on their own, or they listen to all the doomsayers who are trapped in their cubicle, anxiety syndrome, and they don't challenge those fears safely. They don't say, well, where is the opposite true? So I really do think that this fear, and not just kind of and also worrying too much. I've seen this a lot in a survey I've been doing for my latest book, The Art of Success. A lot of people are really stopped in their tracks by listening too much to everybody else. Mm-hmm. So I think those things, the fear, the overly listening, and that will often come down to your self-valuing, your self-esteem, and just having the courage. I'd also say that so many successful people, they're following, look at Tim Ferriss. He's passionate about everything, it seems. The people in New Zealand, I was often criticised for helping people, follow their passion. But I think passion's a big thing. I used to be, I call it the girl with the green face. I used to get so worried, so worried about everybody looking at me. I used to break out in this sort of huge kind of, almost like a rash. Mm-hmm. I used to cover it all up. But then when I found my passion, I'd been talking to conferences, all over the world. And this is the girl, when I was planning my wedding, who wanted a table down the back of the room because I didn't want anyone looking at me. So when you follow your passion, it's beyond your ego self. It comes from a higher source.
Very cool. So I know you're currently based in New Zealand, but you do a lot of travel as well. So how are you able to travel freely while building your own business? Does the revenue supported, or the revenue generated from your current businesses support the lifestyle that you want for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. And by having, again, it's staying abreast of technology and using technology. It's only just recently that I put my books on Amazon. And so, by putting your books out there and using, tapping into a wider audience, and of course that's passive income. So that, that's been fantastic. And also connecting so directly with readers because of their reviews and connecting through the book. Well, that's how we met, isn't it?
Absolutely. I actually found you on Amazon. We'll get more into your books that you have out there, which you said you're working on a new one, though. That's something that I haven't heard of yet. So I don't know if you want to kind of just briefly talk about the new book that you have coming out. You said The Art of Success.
Yeah, I'm an award-winning artist as well, so I've always been really interested in the road of artists, and so this art of success is how extraordinary artists can help us succeed personally and professionally. And it's going to be a series of books. Book one is one of my all-time, and I'm sure many people will identify with Leonardo da Vinci. And mainly, of course, you said earlier that I'm a historical novelist too. I'm also working on a historical novel called Mona Lisa's Secret. But Leonardo da Vinci, if you look at, he was he's like you and I. He's like so many people. He had so many obstacles in his way. He was born illegitimate. He had people say he wasn't allowed to belong to this part of the, this sect or this fraternity or this, and what we might say now. He had, money issues. He had to work for tyrants half the time and play their stupid games, but he kept going to his vision. He was visionary. So there are so many things that, so this book is a lot like my earlier book, How to Find Your Passion and Purpose, also on Amazon, and that it's a short read, because I know that so many people, reading, it's hard to find time. Absolutely. So it's a nice short read using Leonardo's wisdom that I've sourced through his own words, his journals. He's an enigma. Not many people truly know the true Leonardo. Mm-hmm. He didn't write much about himself, but he wrote a lot about what he believed and discovered. That's a book that I'm really writing in many ways for myself. I was listening to Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Love, Pray. And in her book, Big Magic, she said, God, please don't write a book to help me. Write a book to help yourself.
That's great.
And I love that because, I'm like maybe many people listening might be, I have lots of interests and I often need to kind of persevere, knuckle down, not listen to the doubters, stay true to my vision. So I'm writing things as I'm journaling through finishing this epic things that I'm involved in. Mm-hmm. I'm looking to Leonardo and saying, what would he do now? What would he say now? So, yeah, it's fun. This book's fun. It's coming out for July, which is your Independence Day, isn't it?
Perfect. That's, not too far away. We'll be looking forward to checking that out for sure. I'll link it up here so they know where to find it, at least your author page. Right. Like you said, you do a lot of things. But what has been the greatest factor that has attributed to your success thus far?
I definitely think it all centers around my passion and perseverance and patience. I think those things are really, really important. When I follow my passion, then and you'll know that too. When you're around like us talking, it's fun, it's dynamic. We're really interested in each other's journeys and what we're sharing, what you're sharing with other people, and it has a magnetic energy over time and space. And it's really you magnetize people to you. Like you came to me, you found me on Amazon, and now I'm going to magnetize what I found through you out to my fans. So I think I get criticized all the time for this, passion thing. If I hear this word passion, I'm going to kill someone. Someone said, like, not so long ago to me, in fact. And another person interviewed me who wrote a book, and for her, she didn't believe in passion, but I think people get stuck. They get stuck in the definition or the word. But passion's just, it's love, it's energy, it's fire, it's conviction. Yeah. I mean, what does passion mean to you?
It's following the things that you love to do. For me, my passions are travel and entrepreneurship. So it's only right that this kind of came together with the Travelpreneur Club. But for me, I like to experience different cultures, different places, to meet different people. But I'm also fascinated with business and creating something from nothing. Like whatever's in your mind, taking what's in your mind, amplifying that, and actually creating something and creating a community, and it's just adding value to the world. It can mean so many different things though. Passion, I mean, it means something different for you than to me, than to your friend, and it's very interesting.
Well, that's right, and I think this is the big thing that often where people struggle is they don't know what they're passionate about and they don't know how to break it down. And passion's a lot like love. It's really hard to define. but there's no one universal definition of love. But it's easy to know it when you see it and you feel it, and you get excited in your body barometer. And yeah, you've got this passion through travel and entrepreneurship, but also connecting and inspiring others. So yeah, I think that's a big factor in people's success, passion. And I'm not alone. I mean, look at Oprah Winfrey and Richard Branson. He's made a killing out of doing what he loves.
Absolutely. So I think a lot of people have the same question that I have right now, though. So how, for us, you and I and many others, when we have so many different passions, our mind's going a million miles a minute. I want to do this. What's the best way to focus on one area, one passion, and pursue that till success?
Yeah, that is a really good question. When I'm thinking, I look up, like, help me, how do I think there's a couple of, personally, I guess I can speak for my clients as well. I think it's centers around, often when I'm helping people find their passion, and they've got many passions. You might have, passion. I talk about your point of brilliance or your passion point in my book, how to find your passion and purpose. And often you've got to look where the universal threads are. So you might have a passion here, but maybe it doesn't fit your value. Your values might be around time freedom, or maybe your values might be around extraordinary wealth, and that value doesn't, that thing that you're interested in, crochet rugs, say. Not that you've shared that with me, because I'm just giving an example. But that might not ever really match your value of extraordinary wealth. So by linking your values, your talents, because you might be passionate about something, and you don't really have that extraordinary talent to take it to the level that you want. Doesn't mean you don't do it. It might still be a hobby, but you might keep it as a hobby rather than a career. The other thing, is a true obsession. And then I circle that with, well, what's the market? Because at some point we've got to really be thinking about, is there a market, or can I create, which a lot of entrepreneurs do, can I create a market because there's a global need, or a social need, or some economic need? Can that passion sustain my lifestyle? So I think that can really, that really helps to be quite strategic with where you're going to put your energy. And like Leonardo did, you still stay true to your vision, because sometimes the market, you're ahead of the market. Aren't you? Make sure, I just don't advocate to people that they're reckless and then find that they can't pay their bills. At some point, even Leonardo would have to go and work for, say, Cesar Borgia, doing the, making war guns and weapons of war to pay his bills, but he was still painting, following his passion on the side. So sometimes your passion has to be the side gig for a while.
Absolutely.
Does that help?
No, absolutely. I definitely agree as well. There's no easy answer to that. But for like I said, for me, like I have so many different passions. Like travel and entrepreneurship is just one area. Like, I love many other things, and sometimes I catch myself going opposite direction, and I'm like, I kind of call myself down and say, no, you got to focus on this for a little bit, to stay this direction, stay focused, and stay the course until you find success.
Yeah, that's right, and that's it. You're saying to yourself, and somewhere you may have. For some people, it really helps to keep it really visual. Like, for example, I'll just show you here. I've got this kind of it's just a little keep me focused thing. Mm-hmm. These are my goals and intentions for 2016: passion, profit, peace, and prosperity. I'll say, is this thing going to give me prosperity? Is this thing going to fill me with peace? Is this choice going to meet my passion? Is it going to help me achieve the things I wanted to do this year? So keeping focus, because our minds we're so lucky we have creative minds. It's a wonderful resource, but then we have to channel it and stay focused.
Absolutely. So, I'm sure you've had many difficult times along your journey. It hasn't been all smooth sailing.
No.
So, take us to one of those moments when you really were faced with adversity. You wanted to give up, when your mind was telling you no, and share with us how you overcame that and to arrive to the point where you are today.
Well, a couple of things come to mind, and I'm thinking relating to you sort of traveling and working, and I was going off on a research project to Florence, and I at the time I had to go on my own and leave my partner at home. He was doing his thing, and as a writer sometimes you just need to really lock in and just be on your own, and I hadn't been to Florence for a while, so I think sometimes when you're traveling on your own, as a woman particularly, and I'm a little bit trusting, but I remember my partner saying, you need to not trust anybody. Mm-hmm. And people would come up and they'd say, oh, would you like a taxi? I'll take your bag for you. And I'd think, oh, that's nice of them. And then I'd remember my partner's words. And then I found out they were just gypsy thieves, So like, I just find sometimes the fact that you have to watch your back so much in this world difficult. But, and there was a point I was loving Florence, but there was a point where I just wanted to come home. I was sick of, having people try to rip me off. And I rang my partner. I said, I just want to come home. And then he just said, you're there to do your passion. You need to follow this through. So I think leaning on others and talking to people and sharing, whether that's a counsellor, a friend, or whenever you're getting stuck or feel like giving up, I think it just pays to. I have a friend who sometimes says, get a grip, Cassandra. You need those friends. Mm-hmm. And then just briefly, there was another when I was working on a contract, because as an entrepreneur, you can just contract your time, and just working in an environment where people were less than honest, and I was asked to support someone who was being bullied. And I remember being told off by my manager for supporting this person. And I found that difficult because that was a real values conflict. I believe people should try and talk things out and resolve stuff rather than resort to legal, getting into grievances. And that was such a values conflict. And I realized the company didn't really value their staff like they said they did. And I just can't work anywhere where I feel compromised. And my way out of that was to quit. Leave the contract.
Yeah. But it's great. Yeah. I mean, at least you had that freedom where you could say no when something didn't line up with your values. I mean, that's one of the great things of being an entrepreneur, is that you're not tied down to that one company doing that one job. So when it's that point, you can just say goodbye.
Yeah, that's right, and it takes courage because so many people won't do that. They'll want the money. The money was great, but I would have had to trade. And I don't want to live. I love the Frank Sinatra song. What is a man if not himself? What have you got? You've got nothing if you can't be true to yourself. So that's really important to me anyway, personally. And I know also I've worked in environments where if I haven't been true to myself, I had shingles. Do you know what shingles is? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was told, in fact, I've met a lady recently who went blind in one eye from shingles, but I remember someone saying, you'll go blind, and I remember someone else having a heart attack at work for a big global corporate, and I just, that's been a tester for me. If I don't follow my convictions, I know it will come out in some way in an illness, and I'm not prepared to pay that price. So,
no, as you should.
No one should.
So, after coaching dozens of clients, and really helping them with their personal development, their career development, what is one of those stories that really sticks out in your mind that you could share with us?
Of helping a client through something?
Maybe it could be a success, maybe it could be a failure. Just one that really sticks out in your mind that you never forget and you carry with you to today.
I really... Because I'm a trained counsellor, so I know how far you can go with people when, I know that you can use humour sometimes in the most tense and fraught situations. So anyway, this mother sent her son, he was probably about your age, to me. She was worried about him, and he was really flat. He was really depressed, and I'm trained in a skill called interactive drawing therapy, which is using drawing. You don't have to be a Picasso, but it's just tapping the subconscious. And this, he wasn't very talkative, but he drew this picture, and it was a coffin and he was in it. That's pretty dark, isn't it? You've got a guy, he's lying in a coffin and he's ready to give up. And I turned to him and I said, hell, at least the lid's up. And I use intuition quite a bit, and he kind of laughed because it wasn't what he expected someone to say.
Sure.
And I said, how come the lid's up? And he said, he doesn't want to stay in the coffin. And I said, where does he want to get to? He wants to win. And then he started to draw some pictures, and I mean, one of the pictures was this mountain, and it had this flag on it, and it said number 1. And long story short is a few years ago, he emailed me. He moved to Melbourne and he pursued his sporting goals. And there's a big article about how he came number 1 in this massive race over there.
Wow, incredible.
And that was so exciting because we started to talk about what he was passionate about. And he'd lost many people when they come to see me and they're depressed. They don't know what makes them happy. They don't know what they're passionate about. And when you can just help them remember that sparkly self, they get excited again. And I love that. And the other thing, because I've been listening to some of your really cool people that you've had on the show, I've been hearing people say, the best time to make these moves is when you're younger. You don't have the mortgage or whatever. And I'd just like to do a shout out for anyone that's out there that's in their 50s, 60s and 70s. That midlife is a fantastic time to pursue your authentic self, to be a travelpreneur, because hopefully you've got a bit of money behind you. The kids have left home, hopefully, or if they haven't, why are they still there? And do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So many people think they're too old. They say, someone said to me lately, I'm 50, I've left it too late. I mean, this is this mindset I'm talking about, and we're sharing. You must know people. Do you?
Absolutely. I think I know my mom listens to this, so I think she's one of them.
Hey, Mom.
I think, but no, I just think most people they get stuck in whether it's in their 30s, 40s, 50s, so they get stuck in a comfortable zone. Even though they know they're not happy, they continue doing the same things over and over and over again, wanting to change, but not doing it, not taking any actions to actually inflict change and to turn course to a life that they actually truly want for themselves.
Yeah, and you could do that at any age. And when you look at when I look at people I've interviewed in my Happy at Work book and in the Midlife Career Rescue series, there's a lot of inspiring stories about people, older people. And when I look at these people, they're so young in the way they are. They're almost ageless. I think it's far better than Botox. You just follow your passion, and it takes years off your life. It's really exciting. I know people that have given up all sorts of conventional jobs and actually ended up making more money as well. Not that that's everything. Maybe they've made more time. Yeah, not having a life of regret.
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree. So I know you have a lot of things on your plate. What is one of your goals for this year that we're currently in, and how do you plan to accomplish it?
Well, finishing The Art of Success by 4 July is my current one, and I've got, like I say, I've got a lot of other side projects on at the same time, so I'm going to be applying the principles of that book to finishing that book. Okay.
And how about the historical novel as well? We talked about this last time, right? You said that it's in the works, but do we have an ETA?
Yeah, well, okay. My birthday's September the 30th. You've heard it here first on Drew's show, the Travelpreneur show. So, September 30, I'm going to have that wrapped up, and it dovetails into this, doing more research on Leonardo's principles. It does dovetail into that, and also going back to the things about success. I think success is also persevering when other people don't. Maybe they don't believe in something. So I was listening to Tim Ferriss saying when his TV show got canned, he decided to back it himself, and it's been phenomenal. So there's been a couple of romance novels that I've written that Harlequin, Mills and Boons, they didn't like my hero, who's actually a butterfly collector. So I'm going to publish that anyway, called Flight of Passion.
Yeah, as you should. As you should.
So yeah, I'm going to self-publish 4 romances too by the end of the year.
Okay, very cool. We'll definitely be looking out for those. And um, so, other than your own, what is one of your most favorite books you've read recently?
Most favorite books. Gosh, look at all my bookshelves here. Um,
Or maybe something that will resonate with the audience of traveling entrepreneurs.
well, I still would go back to Robert Kiyosaki's Retire Rich, Retire Young.
Okay.
I got a lot of value from that, and I think it's also very spiritual and holistic as well. So that's a good one. And I also like Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I think just bringing more, whether spirituality means so many things to people, not tied to dogma or religion. It's just the spirit of your own soul. So I think those books, to get too out of, the business kind of books and more into bring the whole of yourself, as well as anything related to just keeping your body well. So I love listening to podcasts like this. So that's the other thing that's, it's not a book, but it feeds your soul, doesn't it? You listen
Absolutely. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I know I truly do appreciate your time. Our second round 2 here, I'm hoping that the video and audio comes out great, which I think it will. So my fellow travelpreneurs, I highly recommend heading over to Amazon and to diving into one of Cassandra's 3 books in our new series, which are Midlife Career Rescue. I'll also link those up in the show notes so you guys can have easy access to that. She also has her new book coming out in July 4th. We'll be looking out for that one. Yeah, and you can always head over to her website, which is CassandraGaisford.com. So Cassandra, before we let you go, I'd like for you to share with us one parting piece of wisdom and what's the best way to connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay. Well, behind us we have Gerard. So we talked about Gerard, and Gerard's really symbolic because, giraffes stand out from the crowd, don't they? Mm-hmm. They just do. So that's my parting wisdom. Don't be afraid to stand out from everyone else. It's a bit like that book about the seagull. I can't remember, Richard Bach's book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And you can often get criticized when you want to fly higher than everybody else. But that's my parting wisdom is fly higher anyway. Giraffes have the really big hearts. So follow the thing that fills you with heart and take that out to the world, because people need more people who are living with heart and connecting with others. We need more inspiration, more love, less of the other toxic stuff. So and as you said, Drew, just connect either via my Amazon page or there's a free gift on the Cassandra Gaisford site where you can download. If you subscribe to my newsletter, you can download a really cool book, a passion journal, passion-driven business planning journal. So, or just drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you if I can help in any way. Great, and I look forward to hearing all the other stories out there.
Absolutely. No, I'm very excited, and thank you again. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching today's episode. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe below and share this video with a friend that you think it would help. If you'd like this interview in audio format, you can click above right there to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher. And don't forget to head on over to thetravelpreneurclub.com for more inspirational content that will help you begin your journey as a travelpreneur. Until next time, take care, my friends.